of Science and Technology, Government of India, which provides low-cost funding to startups and SMEs for technology development and commercialization. Dr. Navneet Kaushik, Commodore Navneet Kaushik, today from TDB, will be leading the presentation and will be sharing more about how TDB supports industry, particularly the startups and the SMEs with funding for technology development and commercialization. And before we start, we have today with us, we're very happy to have Mr. Sanjay Nayak, an entrepreneur himself, a successful one. And he heads and chairs our Science and Technology Committee. So we will start this, with some remarks from him. And then we'll hand over to Mr. Navneet Kaushik. And then finally, we'll hear from Mr. Nirankar Saxena, who heads FICCI Science and Technology Innovation Vertical and has supported 1,000 startups with funding business development opportunities in the past. So over to you, Mr. Sanjay Nayak.
Thank you, Iti. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of FICCI, I welcome you all to this live interactive session on funding opportunities for startup SMEs for the indigenous technology commercialization. Commander Navneet Kaushik, who's scientist in the TDB, will be leading the session. And today's session will be exploring the various funding opportunities available for commercialization of indigenously developed technologies being offered by TDB. As you are all aware, the coronavirus pandemic is causing large-scale loss of lives, severe human sufferings, and is really having an unprecedented impact on our health, societal behavior, and economy. Clearly, startups are the new fuel, driving both the global as well as domestic economies. And India having the third largest startup ecosystem in the world, we have all experienced how startups have made a positive impact on our daily lives. In today's challenging times, for example, startups can play a very big role in developing the economy of a country. However, the current situation is challenging. Many startups and SMEs are experiencing a major impact on their business because of lockdowns and higher amount of uncertainty. Clearly, financials are becoming difficult, and in keeping the revenues down. When the revenues are down, keeping all your financial in a solid situation is very, very critical. And in this environment, it is imperative that the Indian ecosystem survives the crisis to help the economy bounce back. And we are all hearing about cash is king and survival being the operating mantra. A timely availability of funding is crucial for any enterprise, and more so for startups and SMEs. And worldwide, a lot of things are happening. Many countries are providing grants, subsidies to SMEs to bridge this current crisis. Structural policies are coming into place. New ways of working is coming into place. And really, many, many different things are happening. In this context, actually, Government of India, the Technology Development Board, which is a part of Department of Science and Technology, is providing financial assistance to Indian industrial concerns, startups, and SMEs who are attempting development and commercial application of indigenous technology or adopting imported technology for wider application. And Commander Kaushik would be giving us a detailed presentation on the various schemes which the government has. And let me tell you from personal experiences, in Tejas Networks, we were a startup many years back. We did avail of such government funding. And I can tell you as an entrepreneur that it may sound overwhelming that getting money from government or anything takes time, but it is possible. And there are many, many proactive people as well as policies which will make you happen, make you be successful with all of this. And if you all heard in the last few days, our Prime Minister has talked about the need for a lot more indigenization, a lot more self-reliance, especially in the areas of technology. I think this is absolutely the right time. So I really believe that as a country, let us take the current situation as a challenge, use our R&D, innovation, and technology to really leapfrog ahead in this socio-economic crisis. We have the strengths of our local technology. We have a lot of very talented people in our country. We have a very large home market, which is one of the largest size markets that you can get to. And if we can solve problems, not just for India, we'll actually be solving problems which are very relevant to the other half of the world, which has India-like needs. So I think we are in a very, very interesting situation. And I hope that today's session will be useful to you. You'll get some insights and, hopefully get you the mechanism of availing some funding in some form from the Government of India. And I really look forward to a very enlightening session today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanjay Nayak. And we'll request now Commodore Kaushik to begin his presentation. Commodore Kaushik, as we mentioned, is Scientist E with the Technology Development Board, and he will be elaborating on the funding mechanisms available for startups through his presentation. Commodore Kaushik.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me thank you all for being here. And I should also thank FICCI for having organized this event, because organizing in this time and the companies to know about the various ways that they can get funded is very important, because the cash is going to be crunched, and TDB is one of the organizations which can actually help in commercialization of indigenized technologies. So I'll start my presentations, and just give me one sec. Okay, so we have a website for whatever I'm covering. We have a website called tdb.gov.in. For all this information will be available for all of you. And in case you need still some clarification, there are email IDs available. You can always write to us. So I'll start my presentation, and I'll be covering this presentation under the following heads. I'll start with the historical background, that what happened to TDB, when was it formed, then what is the TDB's mandate? What is the advantages of TDB's funding? Then coming to the process, that how do we fund? Coming to the project overviews, that is how many projects we have funded over a period of time over the last 20 years. Then sharing a few success stories. Then about the national awards, which are given on Technology Day every year on 11th of May. So historical background, the Government of India constituted the Technology Development Board in September 1996 under the Technology Development Board Act 1995 as a statutory body to promote development and commercialization of indigenous technology and adaptation of imported technology for wider domestic application. So basically it was meant to support the Indian industry for promoting the commercialization of indigenous technologies, like any technology which has been developed in India. The first board meeting was held on 20th November 1996, and it is important to mention that as a board member, we had Dr. APJ Kalam as the first of the board meetings. This board has members from both government and private members. Now here's some of the members which I'm mentioning, that Dr. Subodh Bhargav, who was chairman of VSNL, Dr. Kiran Majumdar Shaw, CMD Biocon, Dr. Cyrus Poonawala from Serum Institute. Why I'm naming such people is that what I want to say is that at TDB, we understand what does the industry need. We have members who are from the industry, who are from the academic institutions, who understand the pain points. And that is what we try to address. Coming to TDB mandate. So TDB's mandate, like I said, we provide financial assistance to industrial concerns for other agencies attempting commercial application of indigenous technologies or adaptation of imported technologies, and provide financial assistance to such research and development institutes engaged in developing indigenous technology or adaptation of imported technology for commercial applications, or any other task which has been assigned to us by the Government of India. This is formally what we do. But the most important part we do is support the Indian industry for indigenous technology. Coming to why TDB funding, like there are various stages of various places where you can get funds from. You can get from the private investors, you can get from VCFs, you can get it from the banks. But the problem with what happens is most of the times when you're getting a funding from a VCF, when you're a startup, when you're small companies, there's always a cost to it. When you go to the bank for any innovative or indigenous technology, it becomes difficult to get funding. That is where we come in. We provide soft loans at 5% simple interest. This funding is limited up to 50% of the project cost, which has to be incurred. After this project completion, once you have completed the project, we have 1 year moratorium period where you have to pay nothing. That means if you have a project duration of let's say 2 to 3 years, after that you have 1 year where there's a moratorium period. You don't have to start repaying anything till then. Once your moratorium period finishes, then you have 4.5 years. You pay 9 6-monthly installments. Then we also have a royalty clause, which is 0.5% of the sales of the annual sales turnover of the product developed with board's assistance, which is only during the currency of the loan. So in case your project is doing well and you want to exit faster, you can always do that. Funds are released in tranches, which are based on milestone and recommendation of project monitoring committee, which actually there's a project monitoring committee which comes and checks before the release of the tranches that whether the milestones which you have selected, which you have said at the time of evaluation, are being met or not. Further, TDP does not charge any processing fee for any case, neither do we burden companies for boarding lodging arrangements during any of these committees which come to visit. And more importantly, which I'll cover again, the proposals are received throughout the year. Though we have calls for proposal on and off, like right now we have COVID-19 call, which is open till 30th of April. Other than that, we are open throughout the year. So you can actually, any day apply to us. Whenever your project proposal is ready, you can apply to us. Coming to funding criteria, who can be funded? Any commercial enterprise, startup companies can be funded by us, which is excluding sole entrepreneurs and proprietorship concerns. The source of technology can be national laboratories, in-house R&D units of companies recognized by DSIR, individuals holding IPRs, adaptation of imported technology to wider domestic applications. And even if you don't have, you don't want to file a patent and you have a technology, you have innovative technology, or you have a novelty in your process, all those things can be funded, provided the committee is convinced that these are there's a novelty in the project which you are submitting. Coming to funding process, which is the important part, we have like any other organization, we have the proposals which are taken online. So all these proposals are submitted online throughout the year. So anytime you can submit a proposal, and once you submit a proposal to us, there's a project coordinator who's assigned for the project. And once that coordinator is assigned, he gets in touch with the company. Now, suppose you have filled up an application form, and we call it a form A. And if you have filled up the form A and there's some information missing, the proposal is not rejected. We try and get in touch with the company, ask them to submit the more information, and then we take it to the first committee, which is the initial screening committee. What initial screening committee is composed of is the domain experts of the proposal. Like suppose you have submitted some proposal in IT domain, we'll have technical experts in that domain. Also, we have financial experts who have been in project financing for more than 10 to 15 years. So what they do is, at this point of time, the company comes to Delhi, is invited to Delhi at our office, gives a presentation to us, to the committee, and the committee, there's an interaction there where if committee wants some more information, it asks. If committee is convinced that the proposal is good, they also suggest what are the ways that you can improve the proposal, or improve the way you want to execute the project. But it is not mandatory to take the proposal, because it finally it is your proposal. How the company wants to execute it, it is all to the company's level. We don't interfere there. Now, once this recommendations are given, we communicate it back to the company. Either it is a yes or a no. Either ways, we'll do tell the company. If there is a no for a proposal, we do give the reasons why the proposal has been not accepted by the committee. Once the proposal is recommended, we have a second committee, which is called Project Evaluation Committee, which goes to the site. Like this time, the whole committee goes to the project site where the project will be executed. So there we interact with the company. Now, there we interact with the whole team, whether there's a finance team, there's a legal team, or there's a technical team. We interact with the whole team, and we see as a whole how good the project is. What is the market viability? Here, I like to say it is not only about technology. It is about commercialization. The potential to be able to successfully commercialize the product is what TDB looks at. So once this committee approves it, and in case the contribution which has been sought from TDB is beyond 10 crores, we go to the third-party due diligence. In case it is less than 10 crores, then we go to the board for approval. And once the project has been approved, then we have a loan signing agreement between the company and TDB. So once the loan agreement has been signed, after that we have project monitoring committee, which visits the company on and off, depending on when other tranches are to be released. And these tranches are decided between the company and TDB. All these things are discussed with the company. It is not that unilaterally we decide. We discuss it with the company and see what is the requirement. If the justification is there that you need a certain amount of money at a certain point of time, we do take that in account. Then after coming to the completion project, once the project has been completed, the committee goes, visits it, certifies that the project has been completed, and then we have a repayment starting after 1 year. 1 year of moratorium. Now, one thing which I have been harping upon is that all these experts which are there, they are your domain experts. Actually, they're the kind of experts we have. They're from IITs, IISCs, you say ministries, any specialized institutions, and at times we also have experts from industries. At all point of time, the confidentiality of the proposal is kept in mind because it's a commercial proposal. Coming to costs, under the cost, we have what you can ask for is the land, site development, building, plant and machinery, which can be both imported or indigenous, miscellaneous fixed assets, technical know-hows, cost of filing patents, contingency, margin money for working capital. And again, TDB support is limited to 50% of the project cost to be incurred. So the day you submit an application to us, after that, whatever the cost is expected, 50% of it is what is supported by TDB. Coming to the project overview, here I'll cover that what kind of projects we have done over the last 20 years, what is a stretch all over India, and what kind of entrepreneurs we have. So if you, there's a slide here. So if you see, we have projects in Assam, we have projects in Kerala, we have projects in Gujarat, we have in Jammu and Kashmir. So we have projects all over India. So it is not, restricted to one particular state or something. It's all over, depending on the kind of projects which we get. Now, the total project cost which has been supported by TDB is 5,700 crores approximately, and out of which TDB's contribution has been approximately 1,825 crores. That is TDB's commitment in this. Coming to sectors supported by TDB, we have supported health, telecommunication, engineering, chemical, information technology, defense aviation, road transport, energy utilization, textile. Even if something is not named here, you can still come to us provided there's a novelty and there's an innovativeness in the technology. So we support all kind of, we are sector agnostic. So we can support any sector which comes to us. Now, this is what is more important. I think all of you would be interested because it's more to do with MSMEs and SMEs. So if you see, this is the data which I'm taking out from the last 5 years. If you see, out of 40 companies which we have supported, nearly three-fourths of them are MSMEs, SMEs, or startups. The established companies have been just around 26%. So we have supported a lot of startups in the last few years, and also the MSMEs and SMEs. And if the next, if you see here, the first-time entrepreneurs are 66%. And the seasoned entrepreneurs are only about 34%. So majority of people who came to TDB are the first-time entrepreneurs, and they have found support with us. The most important part which I would like to reiterate is that we respond to people. If you write to us, we will respond to you. Whether it's recommendation or not recommendation is not up to us, but we will tell you. We will respond to you whenever you write to us or you call us. You write an email to us, we'll come back to you all the time. I'll come to a few of the success stories, like about automobile and electric mobility. TDB has a distinction of financing the development of first electric car, that is Riva, in 2000, which was way beyond. Like now we are going for electric mobility. We funded a company in 2000, and by 2004, the product was not only sold in India, but it was sold in abroad as well. This company was later on taken over by Mahindra. We were also part of Tata. We also supported Tata Motors for developing variants of Tata Indica, which was the first Indian car which they had developed. So in transportation sector, we have Riva Electric Car Company, Tata Motors, Eicher Motors, Ampere Vehicles, which was developing two-wheelers, electric two-wheelers, which has been taken over by Graves Cotton recently. Now, the biggest success story for TDB lies in this pharmaceutical and healthcare. As you see, we have more than 90 projects out of 309 which has just gone in this sector. And most of the companies, biotech companies which are there today, have some point of time have been supported by TDB. Now, one of the major contributions which we look at is that hepatitis B vaccination, which changed the landscape of childhood vaccine globally, putting India as the largest supplier to UNICEF and WHO. Now, if you see, these are some of the companies which I have listed, because in biotech we have a huge number of companies which we have supported. So if we start with Ranbaxy, Cadila, Biocon, Sudarshan, Biologically, all these companies have been supported by us or are being supported by us. Now, why I did not name Shanta Biotech and Bharat Biotech in the first thing is because these are the companies initially when they developed the hepatitis B vaccination. And the impact of these companies of development of this vaccination was that the world over price of this hepatitis B vaccination dropped from $23 to $1, thereby making it affordable to a common person, a vaccination which was otherwise very expensive and out of reach for the normal person. And not only India, it became available to the world at such a low price. And just because there are two Indian companies which had a dream and they were able to successfully achieve it. And we thank them that we were part of their journey. In the defense, we had Zen Technologies, Tata Power SCTs being supported by us, VEM Technologies, which is amongst the few defense companies making RF seekers, Aurora Integrated Systems, which was into drones, which were later on taken over by Tata's. In the miscellaneous, if you see Sucam Power Systems Limited, Sajanan Laser, Sonodyne, Grasim Industries, which we are supporting for textile, Bitchem Absels, which is in Guwahati, we are in the cold mix technology for road building. So these are just some of the names which I have put across. Now I'll come to national awards. So every year, national awards are given for successful commercialization of indigenized technologies. And the categories of awards, if you see, there's a national award, which is for industrial concern, which has successfully developed and commercialized an indigenous technology. Then we have a 15 lakhs award for MSME, which has successfully commercialized a product based on indigenous technology. And then we have for startup, for promising new technology with potential for commercialization. And for MSMEs, they can apply in both cases. They can also apply in national awards, or they can apply in a separate category for MSME. These awards are given on 11th of May every year. And the President of India normally has been giving these awards. This was the advertisement which was taken out this year. Unfortunately, the date is passed, 31st of December. The last date of submission was there. That's closed. And we are in process of finalizing these awards. Other than this, we have a call open right now for COVID-19, fighting COVID-19, which is open till 30th of April. So any one of you who have an indigenous solution to help us fight against this pandemic, you are more than welcome to submit the project proposal. With this, I'm finished. I'm open to question and answers. Please feel free. Thank you.
Thank you, Commodore Kaushik. And before we take question answers, we'll request Mr. Saxena for his remarks because he has another meeting which starts soon. So I'll invite Mr. Saxena to speak on behalf of FICCI before we take Q&A.
Yeah, was audible? Okay. So good morning, my dear friends. On behalf of FICCI, I would like to state that this is a golden time. This time will never come back, especially for innovators, and especially for innovators who are looking and seeking some grant funding from the government. Every ministry has so much grants to offer, and I would like to re-emphasize this golden time. Each one of you who are present, ensure that you get support from the government of India. Honorable Prime Minister has already made a statement that only science and technology and innovation can lift India and the whole world out of this current problem. My second message would be that the problems for innovators are most welcome, because if the problem will not come, you will not find the solution. The expertise of innovators, and especially the Indian innovators, who are very sharp and rising in the world, they will find solution, disruption to address the problem and create business for them. I like to offer TDB. I'm very thankful to my friend Commodore, the Secretary, Dr. Neeraj Sharma and Dr. Ashutosh Sharma from the government side, from the GST side. But within the GST, there are 3-4 departments they're offering grants. So please log into a institution called SCRB, Scientific Engineering Research Board. They have huge amount of money to offer as a grant for qualified innovators. Under the Science and Technology cluster, under the Prime Minister office, there's an institution called PSA office, which is led by Dr. Vijay Raghavan and Dr. Arvindam Mitra. They are supporting companies who are addressing and finding solutions. For example, I know a company who got qualified, made in India kit for COVID, for PCR diagnostic, not a rapid one. They have given a grant of 10 crore. So if you have some solutions, you please approach also to PSA office. The third is under Madam Iti Gupta. She had launched a call for 10 crore for innovators who are addressing the COVID solution. You can log into the site called Millennium Alliance and file your request for seeking the grant. I'm on the board of Ministry of MSME on export promotion and Make in India group. We are trying to figure out a huge chunk of money which we can offer to our incubators, and we will be shortly. Please do watch MSME site on day-to-day basis. Any day the call will come, and call will be initiated especially for small and medium companies. Yesterday, we were in the call with Secretary IT and Telecom and DOT. Both the secretaries mentioned on our request, they are launching a 300 crore call for the companies, especially in the IT domain or telecom domain, to roll out grant challenges with specific problems. I will request FICCI Secretariat led by Iti Gupta, and Sarika is the team leader for IT and telecom. Please do inform to all attendees who are present in this call. I want to ensure you that in this golden time, each one of you have to think to scale. You scale your vision. Scale your vision of, especially in this particular webinar on grant funding. And you will find solutions across government to initiate that. From the private sector, do watch a group called Turbo Start. This Turbo Start group is led by a great man, Ganesh, in Bangalore. He will be launching a first phase of the call funding we have launched for 50 crores, which is already consumed. The next phase of 250 crores. And this money is coming from all industry leaders. And especially with Turbo Start, this is not a grant funding. This is, if they find your businesses are viable, they will invest in your equity. So to me, Turbo Start is a great group, and you should approach them for a validation of your idea from the experts from the industry and make industry as a part of your business. There's a great institution in Mumbai called IntelliCap, led by Vineet. Vineet has got a funding of 2,500 crore, again on investment-based basis. So do approach IntelliCap to seek any equitable funding for your venture. Madam Iti Gupta will also refer you a great industrialist. He is the chairman of Ericsson and chairman of many more companies. His name is Sushil Jivrakar. He is a passionate industrialist for supporting innovators. During this COVID, he has supported 70 innovators. So, Madam will introduce you to Mr. Jivrakar, who is a FICCI member, and you can also seek the funding. I'd like to also request you that each one of you, if you find any specific problem in reaching to the government, you do approach us, do approach Madam Niti Gupta and her team, and we will ensure to find solutions for you to our best ability and network. Lastly, before I think closing, I like you all to read a book which I am reading these days. This book is written by a Harvard professor, is Clayton Christian, and the name of the book is this, The Prosperity Paradox: How Innovation Can Lift Nations Out of Poverty. You take off the poverty and you say COVID. So do read this book, Google it, and you will find it very useful, because knowledge is the key factor, or rather the spine, for creating a fire within you. With these words, Piggy wishes you all the best. Take the best opportunity, the golden time which you have. Do not miss it. The government is very soft now. They are going to extend soft hand to each one of you to take the benefit of this golden time which will never come back to the innovators. Thank you. Over to you, Gupta.
Thank you, Mr. Saxena. So we will get back to the Q&A session now, and we'll request Commodore Kaushik to take the questions. So Commodore Kaushik, the questions are being posted on the YouTube link where this webinar is going live right now. So I will just read out the questions to you, sir, and we would request you to answer the questions one by one. We'll try to take as many questions as possible, as much as the time permits. So the first question is from Mr. Karan Chavan. He's asking how much time does it take to release the funds by TDB to complete the entire procedure once the application is submitted by an entrepreneur?
Okay, so see, in a normal course of time, it's not, if it's not too urgent, we take 3 to 6 months. But in case there's something which is, and 3 to 6 months also depends, because at times what happens is getting in touch with the company, getting the information, that takes time. But there have been cases where we have finished projects within a month, where everything was available, the information was available, the technology was good, the financial viability also was well researched and given to us. So that makes it much easier for us to process. Now we don't reject proposals outright just like that without having the information. So we give time to the companies to have the information. Some of the companies have responded to us within 15 days, 20 days, and we go back accordingly. But what happens in certain cases, you ask a question and the company has not come back to us for 3 months, so that also comes into our our kitty. We can't say that we have funded it less time. I hope I have answered that.
Right. Yes. So we would request all the companies, to be more responsive once they get a query from TDP post submission of their application. So I think the gestation period will also depend on the response time that they take to reply to your queries. So the next question is from Mr. Tanmay Pandya. He's asking that, you mentioned in your presentation that 50% of the project cost is financed by TDB. He's asking the land and building cost, is it included in the project cost or not? And what is the collateral that is required for a loan from TDB?
See, land and building can be the part of the project cost. That's not a problem. But most of the times what we have seen is when you put a land in the part of the project, acquisition of land becomes one of the major challenges. And because of which your project duration, if you say 2 years, at times it has taken 2 years just to purchase land. And then your project gets delayed. So it is advisable that, you arrange for the premises, and then, the land is available, then it makes it easier. But yes, our guidelines do say you can put the project cost, the land as a part of the project cost. As far as the collateral goes, it all depends on the kind of money which you're asking and the kind of technology which is there. Because it will all depend on that. The risk will depend on the kind of technology which you are coming up with. If it is really some, path-breaking technology, and again, it is not decided by by TDB per se. It is the experts, both technical and financial experts, who look at the project, who look at the technology which is available. And if the technology seems really good and they feel it's worth the risk, they probably can recommend whatever the collaterals which are required. But definitely, whatever you're buying from the TDB's money will be part of hypothecation. Pledge of share will be there. Pledge of share is not taken because we are taking it as security. It is just that we want the company's promoters to remain invested in till the time the project is completed.
Thank you for that clarification. The next question is from Mr. Hardik Kaparia. He's asking, what is the stage of funding one should apply when one should apply to TDB? If the project has already started commercial production, is it eligible to get a soft loan?
Once you started the commercial production, you will have to justify why do you want it. Because once the commercial production has started, you already are into a profit cycle. So we look at it that you have already commercialized the product. So probably that may not fall into our domain. We generally look at TRL level 8 and 9. And sometimes what happens is, this is typically with the startups, that once they produce, let's say 2 or 3, prototypes, they feel that is commercialization. We don't consider that as commercialization. Putting 2-3 pieces in the market and getting a feedback is not part of your commercialization. Commercialization is when the numbers is about commercialization. How many numbers you want to produce? That is where we look at commercialization. But if you're already producing in a large quantity and you have profits coming out of it, I think the money should be available to the other people who don't.
All right. I think, we have got that answer to that question. The next question is from Ms. Kalpana Arora. She wanted to ask whether a not-for-profit can also apply for a TDB fund.
No, that does not happen because we only fund private limited companies. And it is only for commercialization of technology. We are not funding R&D. It is like R&D. For R&D, you have seed supports coming from DST, IRAC, DBT, you have SERB. So all these institutes give you seed support to develop a product for doing an R&D. But where they finish is where we start. Okay. Once the product has been developed and now you need some capital to get into the market, to buy machinery, to set up your plant, that is where we come. That is where we support.
Okay. All right. So we'll take a few more questions. For COVID-19 related proposals that you just mentioned, can you elaborate a bit on what kind of funding are you providing, and for support to companies developing the COVID-19 technologies to combat that?
So for COVID-19, we have a call for proposal which is open. We are funding in both in terms of grants and loans. But again, it will go back to the project. The justification of cost has to be there. And we also look for what is the contribution of the promoter. It can't happen that 50% is what we are producing, we are providing. We also look at what is the skin in the game from the promoter's side. It has to be that we are your partners. We support you to be making a company, but we need some things from you as well.
Okay. All right. So the next question is it possible to get funding for marketing support? A company has done the product and they feel they can get early success in the market, but they need money for marketing support. Does TDB support that?
Not only marketing support. If it is part of the entire project, yes, we can help in marketing, but not only for marketing.
Okay. And the next question is, some of the entrepreneurs are asking is, if their application gets rejected once by TDB, can they come back, once they have improvised the technology and it's more market ready, can they come back and reapply?
Definitely they can apply. If it has been rejected, there are reasons which have been given in the rejections. If you have been able to address it, you can come back to us. There's absolutely no issues. No problems there. You can always come back to us.
All right.
We are looking for technology to be innovative and there has to be some novelty.
Okay. And I think we are getting a lot of questions, on sectors where you invest. So some people are asking, is fintech your preferred sector, or agri, or MVP? So, can you elaborate a bit more? Are you sector agnostic, or which are the sectors you actually look at?
We are sector agnostic. We are into, like I said, we are into agriculture. We have funded companies in agriculture. We have funded companies in IT. We have funded companies in biotech, defense, transportation. So we are sector agnostic, and we can fund. There's no specific, what you can say, sector that we are looking for. Yes, from time to time we do come up with call for proposal, just to make the industry aware that yes, this is the time that we are looking for this. But either ways, other than call for proposal, the portal is open throughout the year. And to all the sector.
Okay. And, we have an entrepreneur, I think from the Northeast, Tanima Tarafdar. She wants to know that, do you have any particular scheme or funding for startups and SMEs in the northeastern part of the country, with special reference to Assam?
No, we don't have any specific reference to any of the, states per se. But then, like I said, all states are open, and we do give equal importance. Everything for us depends on the kind of technology that you're coming. That's our most important part.
Right. And one of the questions that came in, I think you've already answered that, but for clarification, I'll quickly ask this. Can individuals apply, or it has to be a privately registered company?
It has to be a private limited company. Individuals cannot apply.
Okay. And we have a question from Mr. Sampath Daniel. He wants to know what is the minimum size and the turnover of a company, if they're applying. Is there a minimum criteria for turnover?
No, we don't have a like I said, there are first-time entrepreneurs. There are companies which are just come in. They just started probably a year or something. There's no criteria per se, but your project should look viable. Your market should be there. See, what we are looking for is commercialization. That you should be able to make profit out of it, and you should be able to run your company based on the money coming out of that project, and you should be able to return our money as well.
Right. We have another question from Mr. Hardik Kapadia. He wants to know whether this funding actually comes from a bank or, it is actually the DST money. And what is, what are the broad paperwork that is required by a company to apply for this funding?
Okay, so this money which we get is from the government of India, which comes through grant to us from Department of Science and Technology. So annually they allocate us a certain amount, and that is what we invest in the company. So that's how we get the money part of it. And coming to the paperwork, it will depend on the kind of companies, the kind of what you can say collaterals that are there, the guarantees which come in, and obviously we'll need your balance sheets and all those things if you're established companies. So whatever documentation which is required, it is already mentioned in our website, where there is a project. Okay, this is something which I want to say. In case you have any doubt about any process, the first thing you should do is go to the website, go to the download sections. In the download section, we have a project funding guidelines. It's a very small document, which will give you a lot of clarity about what things can be funded and what things cannot be funded under a project. And then you have an application form there, which will tell you exactly what we need. And it makes it very simple once you read it, to know how to prepare your project. And even if you make some errors in that, we still support you once you have submitted an application to us. We'll still call you and say, okay, see, this is what is missing. You may need to, you should support, submit this as well.
Right. And, one of the query that is coming in, and we also got this before this webinar, is a lot of companies ask that now DPIIT is registering startups. So is it necessary for the companies to have a government, a certificate from DPIIT that they're registered as a startup to avail funding under the startup category?
See, you need to have a registration from Government of India.
Okay.
That is important. And other than that, I think we are open.
Okay.
But we have private limited companies only. So startup also has to be a private limited company.
Okay. And one question that has come in from Mr. Ajit Singh, he's asking, technology has already been developed at lab scale, but their client is looking for a scale up from lab now to pilot scale and to commercialize their technology. So he has already done, developed the technology and lab scale and wants to scale it now. So he can apply for TDP funding?
He can apply, but I would prefer him to go to other institutions which can give him a grant, because going from lab scale to pilot scale will take you some more work, and coming to commercialization will require you further some time. So I would rather, suggest that it is better to come up to a level where you have a pilot, unless it's the investment required in pilot is something very huge. It is better to go to other agencies which are giving you grants, set up your pilot plan, get things approved, and then come to us. Then it makes sense to.
Okay, thank you. And one of the other questions that is coming in is if they get 50% of the funding from TDB, can they apply for the balance 50% funding from any other government source, or it has to be their own money or raised from a private source?
No, not really. What we look at is the rest of the 50% has to be arranged. It can be a loan from a bank. It can be their equity. It can be from VCF. They could have got grants from somewhere else as well. But what we look at is the viability of the project. One, that your debt equity ratio should be, manageable. It should not happen that everything is at debt, because then it becomes difficult to run a company. That will be the major part of us.
Okay. And, people are asking that, once they submit their application, is there a mechanism where they can know what is the, the status of their application? Is it under review, rejected, or whatever the stage is?
Like I said, we always communicate back to the company. Once the application has been submitted, a project coordinator is assigned to it. Now, once the project coordinator is assigned, you just have to drop him or her an email, and they will come back to you. They also share the numbers. We can always speak to you to the industry, and we can always communicate what is happening. We are an organization which is totally transparent. We are open. We tell you what is happening. Yes. We can't tell you before the project happens whether it's successful or not. Once only when the competent authority has approved or rejected, only then we communicate.
All right. Okay. I'm just checking the questions. Just give me a second. Can partnership firms apply? There's a company, which is manufacturing 3D printers, and it's a partnership company. And is it eligible for the TDP funding?
LLPs are not eligible for TDP funding.
Okay, they're not. Okay. So a lot of companies, Commodore Kaushik, are again asking, they are if they are working in the medtech sector where the gestation period is quite, it's quite wide. So, they're saying that, at what stage for a medtech company can they apply? So, because, there are clinical trials and, it takes a while for them to get to the market.
Yeah, so the clinical trial part is where is the tricky part, because clinical trials, what happens is once you start, the end date is not clear. So that makes the project slightly uncertain. So probably, I would feel that, DBT, BIRAC and other, more related to biotech area would be better sources for the funding on that basis.
All right. Okay.
Yes, commercialization, you can come back to us.
All right. And does TDB finance foundry industry as well?
We fund any industry.
Any industry. All right.
Only thing we are looking for is innovative and novelty.
Right. So I think broadly we have covered the questions that were posed today by the entrepreneurs who are attending this. And there are 200 plus people who are watching this live right now. And we thank you, Commodore Kaushik, for your very informative presentation and the way you explained how entrepreneurs can avail the TDP funding and post the R&D phase. And I think this was very useful. We hope that, we have not missed out any questions, and we'll request all the participants, in case they have any questions, they can write to us. They can write to me at et.gupta@ficci.com, or they can write to Ms. Divya Gajaria, who had sent you a mail yesterday on sharing this link. So you can post our questions, to via an email, and we'll check it out with TDP and get back to you in case there are any further queries. So with this, with a humble thanks to TDP official, we'll close this webinar as of today. Thank you, Commodore Kaushik.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for the opportunity, and it's been a great interaction. I hope I have been useful to the
Yes, very much. Yes. Thank you so much.